I would like to extend a warm welcome to members of the Council, officers and members of the public and press in attendance at this extraordinary Council meeting on the 28th of August 2025. Welcome to those who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor John Sleep, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. Please switch any mobile devices, including laptops, to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. If the fire alarm rings, please can everyone leave the room immediately and use the nearest sign fire exit. Please go to the fire assembly point, which is located at the bottom of the car park by the garages. Apologies. Chief Executive, do you have any apologies to report?
Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Cleary, Frampton, Richards and Young. Are there any other apologies? No, thank you.
We will take agenda item 1, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in connection with an agenda item for this meeting? Councillor Davis.
The obvious one is I'm a councillor from a Phase 1 area.
Councillor Heron.
Chairman, thank you. Just in case the debate goes that way, I would like to point out that in my youth I was a practising commoner, a member of Commoners Defence. I am also a member of the New Forest Association, and obviously with my brother being the official verderer, I have connections to the Verderers Court, which my mother also sat on beforehand.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Councillor England.
Councillor England.
Thank you very much. I'm also a councillor for the Phase 1 area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
But that's not right, you don't need to declare.
Right, okay. So agenda item 2 now. We will take agenda item 2, extraordinary council meeting requisition. Review of new... Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Parker. Oh,
sorry, but belatedly, I suppose I should declare an interest being a Phase 1 councillor as well. And I'd like to propose a motion as well, which isn't on the agenda.
Councillor McCarthy.
Because I'm in Phase 1 area also, so I will have
Okay.
declarations.
Okay, can I just clarify that you do not need to declare an interest whether you're in a Phase 1 area or not? So if we could conclude any substantive declarations of interest before potentially moving on. So any declarations of interest? Okay, thank you.
We'll now take agenda item 2, extraordinary council meeting requisition, review of new waste collection service, Phase 1 rollout, and motion to suspend Phases 2 and 3. Members, I've called this extraordinary council meeting following a request by 6 members of this council for an urgent meeting, and the motion which is agenda item 3 in relation to the rollout of the council's waste and recycling programme. Before I proceed any further, I understand that Councillor Parker, you have a procedural proposal to put to the council. You will have 5 minutes in which to speak.
Thank you very much. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos once said, "When the data and the anecdotes disagree, the anecdotes are usually right." If officers and ruling Conservative councillors are sat here today thinking about damage control, I'm afraid you've got it all wrong. Not only is the damage done in Brockenhurst, but it continues apace, both literally and in the minds of affected residents. I have lost count of the number of times Brockenhurst residents have told me in the last 2 months their waste collections have been marked as completed or resolved when they had not been collected or dealt with at all. One parish councillor in the village said he was, quote, bemused to see the councillor for Pennington start an online survey to try to find out how bad things really are. Surely district councillors can request internal information from databases, he asked. Well, as a fellow Phase 1 councillor, I completely understand where Councillor Davies is coming from, and I commend him for his efforts. There is a major and unacknowledged issue with communications here, both external reporting and how that's being processed, and internal feedback, including communication with councillors. And I'm grateful to Brockenhurst residents who have completed their own polls and furnished me with that data, which has also been distributed to councillors, including Councillor Blunden, as well as the daily onslaught of missed collection reports. I keep hearing both residents and opposition councillors using the term gaslighting to describe what's going on here. I hope that isn't deliberate, but it is the perception amid communications that seek to present solely the positives of the rollout, like the Phase 1 in numbers posters, and insulate the council from any blame. I think we need to strike a better balance, actually, between self-congratulation and openly acknowledging improvements being made in a service that has been deluged with complaints. On the 6th of this month, I drove past a live donkey raid on bins at Sway Road in Brockenhurst. I saw in front of me a donkey nudge over the bin with its snout, and with a couple of hoofed stomps, it got in, and then a gang of donkeys set about the contents. It's unfortunately a very familiar scene over the past 2 months. Fortunately, I was there with my trusty litter picker, and so I pulled over, and I was able to prevent the donkeys from eating the plastic bags and at least some of the waste. But what if I wasn't? What is ingesting multiple plastic bags and unsuitable food on the regular doing to these animals? Other residents have also frequently had to step in at the risk of genuine physical harm to themselves. And with Panage less than 2 weeks away, it's extremely concerning that this is still happening. There were multiple instances of this as recently as Bank Holiday Monday, and even today I've seen it. We stand on the precipice of local government reorganisation, and these are the times when we should be making the strongest possible case for the effectiveness and local knowledge and sensitivity that's supposedly inherent in local government and these four walls. If it's so important that the New Forest is not broken apart, shouldn't we be approaching this with unity and in the spirit of collaboration? i.e., when I report serious issues with a service, someone should get back to me in a timely manner, including offering guidance to residents' next steps after a missed collection. And I should not be cut short at meetings, as I was at the last full council. And when I do speak up, maybe I could be given the benefit of the doubt that I'm simply trying to do my best for residents to help resolve these problems and not out for partisan troublemaking. And when a special meeting is called with the Chief Executive, the head of the CDA and the New Forest Association, maybe yours truly could get an invite too. Look, this is a huge opportunity actually, and in these potentially twilight days of NFDC, we should be taking every opportunity to show our residents and maybe our potential suitors what we're made of. We make the case for being indivisible only by ensuring that everyone is heard.
Councillor Parker, I'm sorry you've given you your time, but do you want to move the proposal, please?
Yes. Well, I've only skipped a couple of paragraphs there, but I think you've got the gist. I'm quite annoyed. So my proposed motion is that standing orders be suspended to enable Brockenhurst residents Tony Fessler, Susan Carter and Gary Lee to speak at this extraordinary meeting for 3 minutes total as provided for by the procedure for public participation at meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Clark, I understand you wish to second?
I do, Mr Chairman, thank you. Oh, sorry.
I do, Mr Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Does any member wish to speak on this proposal?
Chairman.
Councillor Steve Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to advise that the Conservative group support this.
Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I was just going to say I fully support this. I expect Malcolm will say the same. I don't think there will be a single person in this chamber who will be against members of the public being able to have their say at this meeting.
Chairman, I just want to add to the reason this is that one of the most important things a council can do is listen to its residents. New Forest people have experienced unforeseen problems never expected when they saw the comms come out, putting out regarding the rollout of our waste energy strategy. Now is the time to hear their side, listen to what has happened to them, and only by taking on board their issues, understanding the problems the rollout has generated, and responding with appropriate mitigation actions, can we put it right in phase 1, so phases 2 and 3 do not have any issue. Surely, and I'm glad to hear our administration is not afraid to hear from residents about the issues, and it is good governance to hear what our residents actually think and feel about our policy.
Members, we will now...
Councillor Miller.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note that our standing orders, whilst they exist to keep our meetings orderly and efficient, they serve the council well, but the council ultimately serves the public. So suspending them to allow public participation, I think, and allow for genuine community input is a very good idea. I wholeheartedly support Councillor Parker's request. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we will now vote on the proposal to allow the registered public speakers to address the council for up to 3 minutes in total. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Okay, members, that vote is just being sent out, and just for clarity, that is in support of Councillor Parker's proposal to suspend standing orders to allow for the members of the public identified to speak for 3 minutes in total, as provided for by the participation procedures at other meetings.
No, it's got to go.
How are we doing?
Just closing that now, Chairman.
Okay. The vote is 41 in favour, 1 against. Councillor Cheery.
Thank you, Chairman. Before our invited guests speak to us, may I ask that you exercise the latitude that we have, because it seems to me that 1 minute each is far too short a period of time for them to address the council. And you do have a power for you to extend that time to a slightly more lengthy time, so that they may be able to put across to us the points that they wish to make. It seemed to me that 3 minutes each is not an invasion of the time that we have before us this evening, and perhaps you would be prepared to extend that leniency.
Thank you, but I'm very aware that we've got speakers that wish to speak this evening, and to make sure that everyone has their opportunity. I don't want a situation where we end up with speakers not getting the opportunity at the end. So if I will be careful about the 3 minutes, and if someone looks like they're just about to finish, that's how I will operate it. Thank you.
I just think, Mr Chairman, in support of Councillor Thierry's response, if we proceed without hearing directly from residents, public participation becomes a formality, something that happens only after decisions are made, and that would undermine the legitimacy of this meeting, best practice including our own planning committee arrangements and previous extraordinary meetings here, including the Mitcham whatever it was, Midgham Park, is to hear the public before debate so that views can be considered in a decision. But the terms we're proposing are modest.
We did make the vote, and the vote was
surely,
passed.
I'm just talking about the 3 minutes. I'm just talking about the timing, Mr.
3 minutes
Chairman.
was passed. Thank you. Moving on now. I'd now like to invite the speakers to come forward to the chamber to make your statements. Yeah. The order, I understand, is Gary Lee, then Susan Carter, and then Tony Fessler. So, Gary Lee, would you like to address members? You and the other speakers will have 1 minute each.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I've only got 1 minute, so I'll try and keep this as brief as I can, actually, just to 1 minute. I did have a bit of a longer speech, down to cut some out, so here we go. Since the implementation of Phase 1 bin collection, there has been a notable increase in donkeys deliberately accessing all the bins put out on a Friday, but most noticeably the food waste caddies. Despite our efforts to follow the belated NFDC advice by locking our caddies by pushing the handle all the way down, the donkeys, it seems, have adapted faster than us and simply knock them over and or stand on them to gain access to the food inside. Every Friday, with free and abundant food supply available to them, the donkeys are now roaming the village streets to additionally access the public bins. And we've witnessed donkeys removing the entire outer casing of the green, non-donkey-proof bins only last week by the water splash in Brockenhurst. This in turn is leading to an increase in the aggression shown by the donkeys, and I fear in the not too distant future there will be an injury to a member of the public as the donkeys wrestle with each other to gain the morsels inside these bins. I'm asking for simply two things: that the trial to keep, where appropriate, visible but behind one's gate simply becomes normal practice, and a member of the council visits the village on bin day to see the donkeys in action. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Susan Carter, please can you make your statement?
May I start now? Yes. Sadly, as we age, infirmities creep up. The 21 census found that 34% of the Brockenhurst population were over 65. The bins for communal areas are huge, too high, impossible to clean, and the lids are too heavy to open. The bins for properties in non-communal areas also cause difficulties and are impractical for many. We find it dismaying that the council did not consider the inability of many residents to cope with the containers provided and has implemented the new waste disposal arrangements without proper consultation, which would have flagged up many of the current difficulties. There's a significant risk of injury. Many consider NFDC has been thoughtless, wasteful, and in breach of its duty of care. We ask this council to take remedial action.
Thank you. Tony Fessler, please can you make your statement?
Thank you. The letter which you sent to all residents in May included a Section 46 notice which said, "These containers must be placed on the edge of your property." There is no reference to any underlying council policy document. Your February 2025 waste collection policy states, "Edge of your property where it meets the public highway. If the property is a private lane or road, the collection point will be wherever possible where the lane or road meets the public highway." There is a clear contradiction between what we were told, essentially a continuation of the existing service, caddies and bins instead of sacks, and the council's underlying policy document. I discovered this when querying why my and my neighbours' new bins had not been delivered to our houses, and was told A, because we live in a private road, and B, because the road is too narrow. I was also told we must wheel our new bins and caddies down to the public highway, i.e. the Rise in Brockenhurst. I pointed this contradiction out in letters and emails to your chief executive and the council leader. I have not had any response. There are at least another 8 or 10 private roads in Brockenhurst, some signposted as such, others such as ours not. At the moment, the service is semi-working, with operatives wheeling our bins down to the Rise and leaving them for us to collect later, and a vehicle entering the private road, in contradiction to your policy, to collect the food caddies. You could stop this at any time were you to strictly enforce our policy, your policy. The correct outcome would be for you to collect from private roads as before and to bring back the small bin truck for the narrower roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the members of the public who have joined us this evening to speak on this important issue. Your views are valued and play a vital role in informing the Council's considerations. You are very welcome to stay and observe the remainder of the meeting as we debate the report on the agenda. To go back to your seats. Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to propose the suspension of Standing Order 42.3. Would you like me to read it out? Okay. Standing Order 42.3 says a motion which affects the Council's approved strategies, policies or budgets shall be referred to the Cabinet for consideration and report to the next Council meeting, in addition to being referred to any committee or panel. I propose suspension.
Councillor Davis, do you have a seconder?
You do? Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do second that.
Councillor Clark, second. Is there any member that wishes to speak? Councillor Wade.
Chairman, do we need to delay the obvious course? Of course we do. The Cabinet are here and can express their opinions in the public meeting. Our waste service is under-resourced, understaffed and under pressure. We have not delivered the black and clear sacks in the waterside area, and local people are running out because the delivery staff are sorting out phase 1 area problems. Glass collections have been missed on numerous occasions, and so have recycling collections been missed for the same reason. With high levels of sickness and struggling with staffing issues, why on earth would you add to our staff's burden by bringing in phase 2 immediately when we cannot do phase 1 properly? Why is that decision so difficult to take? Is the administration so out of touch it needs more time to do the right thing, or it goes swimmingly on ignoring the issues our residents and New Forest animals are putting up with? Members, be brave, show political leadership and do the right thing. Amend standing orders to debate and make the right decision on delaying that of phase 1 and 2 for the residents of New Forest.
Councillor Davis.
Thanks. I was worried I wouldn't get to actually move my proposal then. I want to suspend standing orders because I think this is an urgent decision that needs to be made tonight and not kicked down the road to another Cabinet meeting and then Council next month. If we delay another month, all we're doing is delaying the inevitable, in my opinion. The issues that have plagued phase 1 are still ongoing, still relevant, still affecting residents today. I've had multiple emails today of service failures. So we need to make a decision tonight, not to kick the can down the road and leave it to Cabinet and Council. So whatever you want to go, whether you want to say no or whether you want to say yes, let's make a decision tonight. Let's not lead our residents down the path.
Yeah, we've got Councillor Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. The luxury of being in opposition, not having to make the difficult choices, not having to deal with the consequences of your knee-jerk reactions, not having to worry about the fact that a delay will cause us to miss the Environmental Act 2021 deadline of March 2026 for the collection of food waste. Not having to worry and not even mentioning, which I think is an amazing oversight by Councillor Davies, not even mentioning the risk of £2.5 million worth of this council's funding by this knee-jerk reaction, and choosing to try and circumnavigate the due procedure just to score a few party political points. They are not serving the residents of this area. They are just making political statements and political hay.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thank you. I also would like the...
Clark.
Sorry, I thought so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The issue at hand, the waste rollette. I certainly propose and second Councillor Davies's proposal about suspending standing orders so that this council can debate the motion before us, including all the points that Councillor Heron has suggested. The issue at hand, the waste rollout, however, is not a minor operational matter. It's a strategic decision which affects every household in the district. The council's finances and the reputation of this authority, as Councillor Parker has referred with LGR. To say it perhaps should not be debated here in full council because of a standing order technicality would be to deny both councillors and the members of the public who are here their voice. Standing orders exist to provide order and fairness, not to block scrutiny. When circumstances are exceptional, they allow us to suspend them. Tonight is one of those moments. Members will have heard from their own wards and their own residents the scale of complaints. We've heard it already. The service failures, the risk to livestock, as Councillor Parker indicated, and the damage to public confidence. If we're not able to debate and record the Council's views, we're failing in our duty of representation. Suspending standing orders will not bind the Cabinet, but it will allow the Council to express its collective voice. That voice matters. It is our only chance to put on record that residents deserve answers and the rollout should not proceed blindly without a review, a ziggurat on wheels without brakes. Chairman, colleagues, we owe it to our own communities to have this debate in the open and on YouTube. Let's suspend standing orders and allow democracy to do its job.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. The reason I think we should have the debate this evening is very simply we push a lot to Cabinet when the majority of members of the public and councillors cannot attend. It's in the daytime, which is where we don't get the vast majority of full members coming to talk and debate on matters. This is an extraordinary meeting with one item on the agenda, which will allow us all to focus on one subject and not be distracted by other items and rush through decisions. We also have 2 full council meetings in the next coming months, so there's further opportunities to sign off any cabinet decisions and full council proposals. This is also, in my 10 years, 10 times as many members of the public I've ever seen. It's a good opportunity to see the council debate, discuss and air the issues that all of our areas have represented. The points about food, my understanding on the funding is I would need clarification that 2.5 million is definitely going to be lost to us if we don't hit the food waste schedule by the 31st, and I hope to have that clarified later. And I also just make the point, we really need to stop pushing things back. We've got the majority of the council here. Let's have an open discussion and put all the views that all the phases and all the areas have been sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think we have standing orders for a very good reason, and that's for good, clear management. And I think regardless of the sentiments that have been expressed tonight, I certainly wouldn't support suspending anything. It will be debated back at Council with due consideration of all the implications and the consequences, because, as is outlined, this is a significant decision and must be brought back to full Council with time to prepare. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward.
Thank you, Chair. I must say that when I joined this council a couple of years ago, I was really surprised by these sections of our standing orders and the way that they operate on motions, pushing them away from debate here at full council and down to the relevant committee, in this case to the Cabinet. In the last full council meeting, in the context of planning, we had a very, very vigorous debate, and the word democracy came up in that, and that's democracy in planning and councillors' role in planning. I think that this full council in general has its democracy denied around motions in situations, and I think this is so important to this council's reputation and to residents. It's the number one service really that residents engage with. I think we should have the debate here tonight, and we can get this done now, and it's resolved, and we can move forward off the back of that. So I wholeheartedly support this motion to suspend the standing orders quoted.
Thank you. Before we carry to Councillor Rackham, the monitoring officer would like to make a comment.
Thank you, Chairman. I think you wanted me to clarify, just for the benefit of the public and all members actually, that there are 2 items on the agenda this evening. Item 2 contains an officer report which would be shortly moved for a debate by the Council on all of the issues relating to the waste and recycling service rollout. The motion is a separate item on the agenda, which, due to its financial implications, requires that referral out to Cabinet. So just to clarify, whether the motion to suspend standing orders passes or not, the Council will have the opportunity to debate the issues raised this evening. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. So this is just for clarity. On what we're proposing, what Jack is proposing, is that we have a very short delay to take a breath, a couple of weeks, maybe at the most, just to take a breath on something which has been poorly implemented and has not worked. What you're suggesting is that we take at least a month, it could be 6 weeks, I think, before we can actually discuss properly and vote. And that just is ludicrous. You're suggesting a much longer time period than we are by not allowing it to be voted on tonight.
Councillor Rackham, it is actually 2 weeks. Can I return to the mover of the amendment, Councillor Davies?
Thank you. I think Councillor Glass wishes to have his 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Apologies, Councillor Glass.
Speak. Thank you. I've listened to the other side for a long time. Something I haven't heard mention is the millions of pounds that it would cost the public of the New Forest if we just glibly go ahead and drop the scheme or hold up the scheme, because this is a time-dependent rollout to get our grants from the government. The other thing we need to look at, I can see Councillor Wade looking up at the sky, perhaps he's looking for godly intervention. What I would like to do is give us the opportunity to keep standing orders as they are, because they're here for a very good reason. It will let us go on and look at the report of the officers, which everyone has had, and I hope you've all managed to read it because it is very interesting. Lose some of the hyperbole and get on making a sensible decision, because I know that people in my ward are not on the open forest, but we have a problem with the black bags, where as soon as you put them out, the seagulls come in, the crows come in, the whole thing's all over the road, and it's like an Alfred Hitchcock film. So I would like to see us go ahead without the alteration to standing orders, get it looked at, find out where we can get it put right, and it can be put right. But also we've got to think of the costs of this, because the £2 million loss would cost each one of us an awful lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thierry.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, did you wish to interject? I'm happy to make way for you, because I'm sure you've got pearls of wisdom that we're all dying to hear. So please,
Councillor Thierry, your floor.
The floor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are debating standing orders. We're not talking about anything else at the moment. And one or two people have muddied the waters by introducing things that are not relevant to the particular matter which we are deciding at this moment in time. I am not in favour of suspending standing orders on this occasion. It is right that the process is that we'll go through to Cabinet. Cabinet will collectively make a response, and then it will come back to this full council. That will allow time and further consideration of the matters in hand. We are not being denied the opportunity to debate this or discuss it. It is only a matter of time. And I believe that it is right, because when we do come to discuss it at the next full council meeting, we may well have an update which will make our decision then a more sensible one, a decision based on more up-to-date facts and figures, rather than allowing tonight, on the basis of what we have heard and what we surmise, to make a decision. So I do not support on this occasion the suspension of standing orders. It does not serve us particularly well in this instance, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Tullieri. I now return to the mover of the amendment, Councillor Davies.
Thank you. So we've had a report, we've had a briefing, we've had the data. How much more do you need? You all seem to be dead against a delay, not even just a week's delay, 2 weeks delay to fix the issues. So why are you so scared of having a vote tonight? Surely have the vote tonight, you can vote it down, and then you can answer to your residents. But let's suspend standing orders.
Right. We will now take a vote on the amendment.
So just to be clear for the council, the motion proposed by Councillor Jack Davis is to suspend standing orders, and that would suspend the provision effectively whereby the council's approved strategies, policies or budgets, motions affecting those, shall be referred to the Cabinet for consideration and report to the next council meeting. So it would be hearing the motion and voting on it this evening. So that will be shortly with you. Voting for the proposal by Councillor Jack Davies. Okay, that's closed, Chairman, and the results there for you, so that is not carried.
Okay, the result is 23 against, 18 for, and so we return to, we're on back here again now. Okay, so returning to the agenda, I'd like now to run through how this meeting will be held. I will firstly invite Councillor Blunden as the portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, with the responsibility for the Waste and Recycling Service, to present the report and to move the recommendation. This will be seconded and we will move into the debate. Each member will be able to speak to once for up to 3 minutes, and obviously I'll try to keep to that because we all must have a say. Thank you. In relation to the next agenda item, which has a notice of motion, this motion will be proposed and seconded and then referred directly to Cabinet without discussion due to the impact on approved budgets. I will, however, clarify matters when we get to this item. I now invite Councillor Blunden, portfolio holder for Environment and Sustainability, to present the report and move the recommendation.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to begin by acknowledging the disruption that some of our residents have experienced during the rollout of the waste collection service. On behalf of the Cabinet and the Council, I offer a sincere apology to anyone who has experienced that inconvenience. We fully understand the frustration this has caused in some areas, and we continue to resolve these issues swiftly and effectively as possible. This transformation is one of the most significant operational changes the New Forest has seen in many decades. It is ambitious, complex, and essential, not only to meet our environmental responsibilities, but to deliver a modern, resilient, and sustainable waste service for our communities. We were upfront in our communications and our briefings that there would be some disruptions, and the report before you tonight sets out the multitude of work streams that have been taking place in preparing for this change. Whilst there has been disruptions and a knock-on impact in some areas, we should not overlook the significant advantages of the changes, or the progress that has already been made. Collection rates are improving week by week and are now at 98%, and miscollections are reducing. Our crews are adapting quickly to the new systems and they are bedding in. These early signs of success are a direct result of the extraordinary effort being made across the organisation, from frontline staff, support team, contractors and senior officers. And I want to publicly thank everybody involved for their commitment and hard work towards the ultimate goal of a modernised service that is safer for our crews, increases recycling rates and meets residents' needs. I also want to thank members of the public who have taken time to speak on this matter or contact me directly. Your feedback
whether in support or in challenging the situation, has been heard, listened to, and is helping us improve. I also want to thank members here this evening for what I know will be a constructive and forward-looking debate. To give clarity on how we got here, this is just not a Cabinet initiative. The waste collection policy and strategy were approved by this Council. That means it is owned by all of us. We have a collective responsibility to ensure this transformation succeeds. It is a shared endeavour and will require continued collaboration and support and leadership from everybody in the Council. I also want to take a moment to thank our partners, Forestry England, the Verderers, the Commoners Defence Association and the New Forest Association for their positive and proactive engagement in response to the issue of animal strikes in the open forest. I'm pleased to say that thanks to this collaboration and some further work undertaken by our officers, we are now in a position to implement a workable solution ahead of the start of pannage. Properties in the forest open to free-roaming animals, we will be asking residents to present their food waste bins from behind the property gates for collection. We have also had helpful discussions on all bin locations and lockable bins with that group. We're not standing still. We are listening, we are learning and adapting. Additional resources have been deployed. Communications with residents are being strengthened. Operational reviews are ongoing, and we remain absolutely committed to delivering a service that meets the expectations of our residents and reflects the values of this Council. This is a moment of change, and with it comes opportunity. Let us move forward together with honesty and resolve, with a shared determination to make it a success. Chairman, I present the report and move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, would you like to second the motion?
Yeah, happy to second, Chairman. I'll reserve the right to speak later as well, if I may.
Thank you. Councillor Wade.
When I wish to propose an amendment, and presumably I will have a seconder, and that will be debated first, and then we will debate the original motion. Is that correct? I just clarify. Right, would you like me to read the amendment out?
Yes, please.
Right, the Council, taking into account standing orders, of course, the Council consider the contents of the report to inform and debate, and then recommend to Cabinet to support the actions of the motion and a recommendation to the Council to that effect in the meeting of the 16th of September. Let me know when I can speak on it.
Does he wish to? Yes. Councillor Wade, do you have a seconder? Yeah. Councillor Miller.
Happy to second this.
Right, Councillor Wade, do you want to actually speak now?
Yeah, and I can go at the end as well. Okay. Well, members, I've been contacted by members of the public from the Phase 1 area, outlining their concerns and problems, supporting a pause. Now, I wonder why that is. Because they have councillors in the Phase 1 area, but possibly it could be because they believe that their councillors won't listen. They will follow the party line every time. Well, we Liberal Democrats, look, we were here for the people. We need our residents in Phase 2 and Phase 3 not to be fearful of the rollout, confident everything will be done to ensure there are no problems going forward. But before that, we need the problems in Phase 1 fixed. We have had miscollections. Miscollections remain higher than expected, especially for food waste. Container delivery failures left some residents without the right bins, sacks or collection points. Customer services have been overwhelmed, with call waits up to 40 minutes, reported in June. Animals breaking into food bins and wheelie bins, donkeys eating plastic food waste bags, you've heard that from the public. This issue was discussed in 2019 at the beginning of this process. And only now trials are being done to prevent livestock breaking into bins? Really? And the tests you're doing now are still ongoing? Driver shortages, staff sickness continue to stretch across the service. In the water side, there are areas where 2 streets away, the black bags are collected in one, they're recycled in the other, but not both. And that's happened this week. So things aren't quite getting a lot better. Understatement of amount of food waste take up. What you planned was going to be taken up did not reflect how many people took it up. Route disruption. Lack of understanding of the extra impact on vehicle tear weights and payload weights of the wheelie bin lifters. Mixed glass deliveries in other parts of the district. The list could go on. I'm not going to repeat what may have already been said. All in all, poor resource management. These are just a few of the issues. The report itself, and I will speak, it retains some speculative financial information. We're not asking to stop it. We're not going to suggest you don't hit the deadline, because you can still hit the deadline for food waste, which has to be done by 26. We'll just have a pause to get it right for the residents that live in the west of the forest and for the rest of the forest. Why did I propose this extraordinary meeting? Why, among my colleagues, did I get you all here tonight on a Thursday instead of a Monday to do this? There's 2 reasons. Firstly, as a New Forest District Councillor, we have a responsibility for all the residents of our district to ensure, on behalf of this council, we provide fit-for-purpose services.
3 minutes, Councillor Wade.
I'm finishing now. Secondly, I want phase 1 residents' problems to be solved. And I do not want phase 2 and 3 and the people in my Dibden and Dibden Pearl ward and rest of Hive to face these problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go any further, the monitoring officer has a statement to make.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to clarify for members. Councillor Wade's kindly sent me a copy of the amendment. And with his permission, I'd just like to add a couple of words just to clarify for the Council. So the amendment is that Council consider the contents of the report to inform its debate and then recommends to Cabinet to support the actions of the motion outlined at Agenda Item 3 with a recommendation to the Council to that effect in its meeting on the 15th of September. So in effect, what that amendment would do, if passed, it would be a resolution passed to Cabinet that this Council is in support of the motion at Agenda Item 3. So just thought that's helpful to clarify. And Councillor Wade, are you happy with those words? Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Miller as a seconder. Did you want to speak now or later? Any other members? Councillor Parker.
Thank you. Just a couple of things, and I'm possibly backtracking slightly, but I hope it's permitted. Just to say that vote on the suspension of standing orders was awfully close, despite us being quite outnumbered over here. And to Councillor Blunden, your changes to the open forest bins collection policy is welcome, somewhat welcome, but why did it take 2 months and a big row? Is it more expensive to run? Can somebody actually quantify the cost of doing it that way? And also, it's important to note, I think, not just the food bins, but all waste bins, including the recycling bins, because I've seen the photos, are successfully under siege by donkeys. So I think we need to look at that and make sure we get it right. And also, it's not just the open forest, per se. I think we need to really have clarity, certainly for Brockenhurst residents, on who will be impacted by those changes. But it is a step in the right direction, so thank you. And also, the councillors opposite were talking a lot about time and not having the suspension for that reason. I really don't think Brockenhurst residents, and certainly the wildlife, has that time in terms of tapping the brakes on phase 2 and 3. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Crisell.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to own up to the fact I haven't got a clue what's going on. That last amendment seems to make no difference to me whatsoever, and I'm not quite sure what I should be voting for. I just wish we could have spent more time debating the actual issue rather than all this nonsense about amendments.
Councillor Steve Clark, sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to challenge Malcolm Wade when he says that Conservatives on this side of the chamber do not respond to their residents. I find it offensive and totally inappropriate for those allegations to be made against us. I can assure him that the Conservative members who represent the wards in Phase 1 have always and will continue to always respond to those emails, and I can assure you I have spoken to every resident that has contacted me. Not only that, I have spoken to residents in my own ward and in other wards in the town, and they express satisfaction. Please watch your language and do not insult us.
Sorry, Councillor Clark.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to particularly, obviously in support of Councillor Wade's amendment, is about how badly wrong the rollout's gone, but I just wanted to concentrate on the issues that Councillor Heron mentioned about the financial mismanagement. Before this council commits another £1, residents deserve to know the truth about the costs. And in Phase 1 alone, we've already seen some unplanned spending spiral. Extra drivers have been recruited on higher salaries with market supplements. I wonder how much that was put into the budget. Recruitment incentives have been rushed through. Customer services have had to be bolstered because call waits have now reached 40 minutes and longer. Every one of those costs come from the taxpayers' pockets but weren't budgeted for originally. Officer time has also been swallowed up. Senior managers have been diverted for months. Firefighting problems that should have been anticipated. That's not just waste in the bins, it's a waste of resources, energy and credibility. We're hearing of supervisors now that are out in the trucks rather than supervising. And we now hear that the basic survey work on collection points is only just beginning this week, with staff out measuring walking distances and hazards of properties. Surely this should have been completed before Phase 1 began, but not after the bins have already been rolled out. It's another example of poor planning, poor preparation, leading to higher costs and lower confidence. Yet despite all this, Cabinet would have us commit to Phase 2 and 3 with barely a pause for breath. The projected cost of delay from the officer's report was suggested as 1.2 to 1.26 million. That a splendid officer, Chris Noble, mentioned to us in the briefing. But on questioning later on, officers admit those numbers are largely assumptions. So Councillor Glass going on about millions and millions and millions it costs, those are all based in finger in the wind. What we do not have is a proper accounting of the real cost of failure, the cost of miscollections, the cost of reputational damage, I refer back to Councillor Parker and his LGR point earlier on, and the cost of losing public trust. Residents deserve better. They're paying for this service. They want reassurance that money is being spent wisely, not thrown in problems after the fact. Until Phase 1 has been independently reviewed and the finances properly accounted for, a couple of weeks, it would be reckless to push ahead. This is not about stopping recycling. We're not trying to do that at all. It's about stopping a waste of money, of officer time and of public confidence, for goodness sake. A short pause now is the only responsible way to put this project back on track for the people who we all represent.
Thank you. Order. Councillor Thierry, please.
Sorry, point of order. As passionate as this has been, what does this have to do with the amendment? I understand we need to hear this, but this is debate. This isn't the specific pertinent to the amendment that has been made by Councillor Wade.
Okay. Fortunately, the amendment was quite broad. Councillor Thierry.
Chairman, once again, we're wandering all over the place, and people are not addressing the main issue, which we are discussing, or should be discussing at the moment, is Councillor Wade's motion. To be wandering off into other areas is not the purpose of what we should be doing at this precise moment in the debate. And so therefore we have to look at the implications of Councillor Wade's motion. And what it seeks to do is to handcuff the Cabinet. What it seeks to do is to give an immutable instruction to the Cabinet in the way in which they should proceed. That is why I will oppose that particular motion, because I do not believe, whether it's right or wrong for Councillor Wade to bring it, that we should, as a council, handcuff the Cabinet in that particular way. It's filibustering of the worst kind, and Councillor Wade knows what he's doing. What he's seeking to do is to push the Cabinet almost into a cul-de-sac, and we must not allow that to happen. The Cabinet must be able to enjoy, rightly or wrongly, they must be able to enjoy the freedom that the Cabinet has right to expect. So therefore we should oppose the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Heron.
Chairman, I think we're going to be here till midnight if we carry on with this. I'll leave it.
Thank you. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Nice to hear from Councillor Thierry admitting that the Liberal Democrats know what they're doing, because I think there are severe doubts about the other side. Chairman, actions have consequences. Inactions also have consequences. I pay tribute to the officers and the frontline staff who have tried their very best to deliver a completely new waste collection service. The plan and the budget was set by the political leadership. This leadership, or lack of leadership, should have been more receptive to challenge and scrutiny from the outset. Unfortunately, that is not the culture that you have created. It's a know-best culture. When it became clear that there were issues with wheelie bins that impacted on other areas, such as delays to plastic sacks, a receptive political leadership would have acted right away, not saying that the budget's been set, these are only teething problems, but remedying things as simply as hiring a van and a driver's mate to get the sacks delivered. When it became clear that customer services was overwhelmed, hire an extra resource. 40 to 50 minutes waiting to be answered is completely unacceptable. Donkeys and ponies, and now we have the prospect of pigs getting into the food caddy systems. I welcome what Councillor Blunden has had to say about the trial becoming a permanent thing. I guess that's a testament to the way the opposition have pressured you into getting the trial in and making the right decision finally. Getting a job working for New Forest District Council used to be a prize much valued. Sadly, I don't think that's now the case. Poor political leadership and the wrong sort of culture has seen to that.
Thank you. Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I'm obviously supporting Councillor Wade's amendment, mainly because what's the point in having the recommendation without an amendment? It just says the Council or the Cabinet will consider the reports when making a decision. Well, you'd hope so. That's the whole point they're there. So having an amendment actually gives some teeth to this Council and makes us a decision-making body and not just a rubber-stamping body, which is what the opposition or the Conservative leadership appear to want. Failing to make a recommendation leaves us as lions led by donkeys at the risk of offending Councillor Parker, who is dealing currently with some rather ravenous donkeys in Brockenhurst. Let's actually make a decision or a recommendation to say to Cabinet, this is what we want, because for God's sake, we are the decision-making body and we should be making a decision, not simply rubber-stamping what Cabinet, a small group of Conservative councillors, decide.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. I have some real concerns about staffing, both on the humanity level and also on the ongoing risk that's come out from this report. It actually says on paragraph 18, I think, that there were learnings from other authorities about the likely disruption, and actually those learnings don't appear to have been taken into account. I'm really concerned when you have the level of sickness that's reported that there is very obviously can indicate a morale issue. And I think ongoing, that's going to be a really big risk to us. And obviously, as an employer, we have a duty of care to those staff. I'm not really that surprised, though, because if you look at what they've been through, the impact on of the training that they've had to go through, and that's continuing for the next two phases. There's much bigger rounds that they have to look into in terms of the equipment that's being used. So I really feel, and also the number of applications for the jobs that actually came up was quite low, really. So I really feel that a review of the staff issues is particularly needed at this point. And that should also, though, include the impact on hubs. So, for instance, Totton has a reception office, and that's used as a hub for NFDC as well. And I know other parishes around have that. So I think that the impact of this should really be reviewed specifically in terms of the staff and what can be done long term, because that's going to be a really big risk. And I think we're evading our duty of care on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mbala.
Thank you, Chair. Fellow councillors, we have a shared responsibility to serve our residents across the New Forest. A lot of the issues being debated were flagged up during the consultation stage and ignored. If we have a shared responsibility, we should listen to each other and work together to resolve the urgent issues affecting us all. Our residents see us as one team, but there's us playing sort of party political game here and entrench in our positions. I believe our residents deserve better, and it's very disappointing to hear some of the comments in this chamber tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Glass.
Thank you. At the moment, we're talking of probably 2 weeks delay. The delay of this, because after Cabinet, we'll come back and debate it at Council. In those 2 weeks, we can take a proper look at what's been said. We can take a proper look at the costings, rather than take a guess tonight. So why not go as the vote on this amendment, whichever way, but also let the whole thing go back to Cabinet with information, answers to questions, the ability to speak clearly, the time to research, so we can make the decision that would be right for everybody, rather than score political points fairly heavily and just carry on talking rubbish, because that's what we are talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Owned by all of us was the quote the portfolio holder meant, and that is right. It is owned by all of us. It's the only service that every member of our community business will use from this district council. It's the biggest change, it's the biggest thing we're known about, and it will be the defining thing when this council finally ceases in a few years' time. So I want to see it get right from my phase as a resident and a councillor. And Councillor Blunden is right to say he wants us to collaborate owned by all of us. What do you think this is? We wouldn't be having this discussion if the opposition hadn't called this meeting. You would have had your steering group made of non-opposition members, non-ward members, not, as I even understand, some outside organisations who could have had those earlier discussions before that meeting in August that was welcomed with the Verderers and other organisations, and highlighted the issues that Phase 1 members, and even Phase 2 and Phase 3 members are coming up with a service. So I really want to give this recommendation some teeth in the council, because, and I apologise for this, but my experience of Cabinet and Council, the council will just sign off what the Cabinet says and not give the opposition the chance to do proper scrutiny. And that's what this is. You said you want more scrutiny in the council. That's what the Investigate people have said before. This is us trying to do scrutiny and having a good debate about it. And you're right, Jeffrey, it is all of us, and we've got to get this right for Phase 2 and
Thank you. Councillor Colin McCarthy.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank our local residents who attended tonight and spoke out on behalf of this issue. I've just been listening to and from all the councillors here tonight, and it just seems to be going back and forward on the issues that we all know is occurring. I do take offence to the fact of Mr Heron, or Councillor Heron, stating the fact that we're looking at brownie points for our party, which we're not. This is actually a serious issue. The first time this phase 1 rolled out, I never received so many emails in my life, and I had to categorise them as in the traffic light system to actually report to those. You have no idea what I had to go through for the first week. I was hearing messages from our local residents day and night. In reference to the ponies and the pigs, we don't have that issue in Leamington and Pennington as yet, and I hope we don't. But we do have seagulls, and they're becoming more and more aggressive. Now, you stated there about the cost factor and everything else, and the implementation and the rollout. Well, you state all the time about the cost factor, but I totally disagree on that factor, because it'll be more cost effective if a child gets injured, because ponies will get more aggressive with the fact that if they can't get the food, they'll find it. And if a child is walking down the road with an ice cream or an apple, they're going to attack that child. Am I correct? Yes. So moving forward, like from that, I mean, I will support Councillor Way's motion on this. But like as I said, I mean, our resident deserves better. They deserve much better what they're actually receiving right now. This has been going on long enough. I am meeting residents daily on a day-to-day basis. There's rubbish bins on a Saturday, which is our market day in Leamington. They're still outside on the streets, being attacked by seagulls all over the streets. It might be market day, but they're being attacked because people are putting the bins out. They do have to go to work, these people, and they're leaving their bins outside. If they're not being collected, by the time 5 o'clock comes and they're returning to work, those bins are being attacked. So, I mean, like, I beg to differ on some of the questions here on what you've stated. And as Einstein once said, I totally agree with the fact that phase 2 and 3 need to be looked at more carefully before it's rolled out. Phase 1 needs to be acted because it's broken, and it's broken in a more serious factor than you're actually trying to instigate. But it is broken, and as Einstein said, there's no point in doing the same thing over and over again trying to expect different results. It's a sign of madness. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor England.
Thank you very much. Well, I can say non-politically, I'm not going to score points with anybody. I just like common sense to come forward. As being in stage 1, I jokingly said at the audit meeting, which was in June, that my phone has not stopped ringing. It didn't know it was so popular. Well, it hasn't stopped. I've had a lack of emails being responded to, etc. I understand the staff are under pressure, but these issues need to be sorted and not go through serial dilution when the next stage is brought through. I would like to see commonality come together, and anything that's actually been raised is taken totally seriously for whatever party, and especially the members of the public, because they are the ones that are really suffering, and the staff, because the members of the public are going through frustration of getting a response, knowing where to go. I actually sat personally just to test out the telephone system one day for just under 2 hours to see whether somebody was telling me the truth or not. The other thing is there's over 100 units in a development in Leamington that hasn't been addressed. This and one location still hasn't had a pickup since the 13th of June. So this and the also other aspect that we haven't touched upon is the fact of the environmental impact which it's having with maggots and rats. So there's other ongoing issues that we need to resolve, and it's not and I want the first rollout to be splendid, and I want the second and the third to be exemplary. And we have been the people that have had to learn through this, a debacle of mistakes. And if we say anything else, we will not be telling the truth. So I'd like us all to come forward tonight and get this moving, and to get the right result for everybody, for no matter what colour, creed and denomination they might come from, or none at all. It's for the fabric of the forest and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tipp.
I think we've heard enough of this particular motion, so I would like to ask that the motion now be put, the vote to be taken on this particular aspect.
Do you have a seconder?
Just to clarify what that means for all members of the council, Councillor Tipp has proposed that essentially we go straight to the vote now on whether to carry the proposal by Councillor Wade, that the amendment. I'm just going to say we're just going to check on the standing orders, and then there will be a vote on whether or not to go straight to a vote on the proposal by Councillor Wade, but just give us a few moments, a second. Thank you.
Attention, please, please. Order, order. The monitoring officer would like to make a statement.
Thank you, council members. Just to be clear, having moved and seconded that the question now be put, which is to go to the vote, Councillor Wade has the right of response as the mover of the amendment. Then Councillor Jeff Blunden will have the right of response as mover of the original motion. Then the council will go to a vote. And that vote is whether or not to go straight to a vote on Councillor Malcolm Wade's proposal.
Councillor Wade, would you like to...
Right, 3 minutes, right? Members, the reason I brought this, I'm going to get back to the very beginning, is because the members of the public, our public, that are suffering because of the waste problems they're experiencing by bringing this process so quickly, probably not really well thought of or well resourced to this point. It's for our residents. Yeah, we can political banter, and I'm sorry if Councillor Clark's upset, but he'll get over it. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's about our residents, and they must be first and forefront in everything. I want the area as a New Forest District Councillor fixed for them. It's our responsibility for all the people who've got problems in phase 1. And I don't want the residents in phase 2 or 3 to have the same problems. We have to pause, take stock, see what we've got gone wrong, fix it before we roll it out. We can still hit the target, still get the food waste done by May. That's just trying to sidewind it all out of the way. No, but we have to pause. It's logical. If something's going, do the same old thing, you get some results. If something's going wrong, stop, pause, learn, improve, move on. But we're doing it for the residents. It's not a political thing. It's for the residents. The fact you're laughing is sad because the residents are watching this and we're talking upon their behalf and you're just making it political. It's about the residents. And therefore, we should stop.
Thank you, thank you. Councillor Blunden, do you wish to respond?
Not at this stage, thank you.
Then we will go to the vote.
Okay, members, so as I said, this is essentially what's called a closure motion, and it's that the question now be put, which is Councillor Wade's amendment. So it's a vote on whether or not to go straight to a vote on Councillor Wade's motion. So does the council want to go straight to a vote next on Councillor Wade's amendment? And that's being sent now. Can I just check, Councillors Harrison and Osborne were not showing a vote on that one? Osborne is not, okay. Thank you. So that vote is now with you, Chairman. So essentially what that means is we will go straight to a vote now on Councillor Wade's amendment, which is to send a motion to Cabinet from this evening's meeting to support the motion at agenda item 3. Okay? So we'll go straight to a vote now on the amendment proposed by Councillor Malcolm Wade, seconded by Councillor David Miller, which is, having considered the contents of the report to inform its debate, recommending to Cabinet to support the actions of the motion at item 3. Councillor Alvin Reid, I think we're missing a vote. Okay, Chairman, so the amendment has not passed, it's fallen, and that means you're with the Council for further debate on the original motion proposed by Councillor Blunden.
Thank you. I will now open the floor to debate on the report on the Council's new waste and recycling service. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Chair. This debate isn't about resisting the improvements offered by the wheelie bins. We all support better recycling rates and safer working for our staff. But the Council's own report admits that the disruption of Phase 1 was greater than expected, and our residents need to be confident that Phase 2 and Phase 3 won't suffer the same issues. And we as a Council need to demonstrate that. Phase 1 saw bins undelivered, animals breaking into food caddies, additional costs on staff and special collections, but most damaging, the impact on our residents was considerable. And not just in the Phase 1 area, this impacted residents across the whole New Forest, and as such, we have to take this seriously. But Phase 1 didn't fail just the once. It failed on repeat. Problems were reported, fixed, and then reappeared. And residents paid the price in terms of miscollections, repeated miscollections, and aggravation again and again. And at no point is there any evidence that the Cabinet noticed this. We've seen no dashboard, we've seen no sign that the analysis was requested, and we wouldn't even have had this meeting if it weren't for my colleagues and I calling for it. I am heartened by the fact that this report finally gives us some clarity on the root causes, but given that we now have a history of repeating mistakes, I'm concerned for the residents in Phases 2 and 3 and in Phase 1 that unless Cabinet can demonstrate that it's got a grip on this project, and I don't believe we yet have seen evidence of this. As a final point, the failures of Phase 1 are not down to our hard-working officers and staff. They've been doing the best that they can in impossible circumstances. I believe the real failure lies with a Cabinet that didn't have its hand on the tiller and didn't invest enough on making sure we had the right support in place to make this a success.
Okay, thank you. Can I return to Councillor? I don't think there was anyone. I've been watching it. Oh, Councillor Wade, sorry.
Some of the Conservatives might want to say how well they're doing. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Well, I'm going to have another go at trying to get the administration to do better. Let me share something with you. I said earlier the waiting time was about 50 minutes. Actually, it's probably nearly an hour at customer service. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails from residents awaiting a reply. So I tell you something interesting. Statistically, for every person that complains, there are 26 more unhappy customers. 26 more people who are not happy with the service. That's a statistical fact. It's not an invention by me, it is. I've seen some considerable foul-ups by this administration in the past. The Slippery Forefaskell, the Applemore pool closure, 2 years on the trot. But be honest, this defeats them all, because its impact on the public. And this is what I find so frustrating, is that we're here to represent the public who are not having a good time with this, and to prevent other members of the public suffering the same problems. Look, members, it's logical. If something isn't working right, you review it, put in actions to improve it, and then move on. Don't just blindly roll on. But that's not what I'm hitting. I plead with the Cabinet then. We've tried it through various ways. Bring a pause, get it right for the residents in the east, in the west, my apologies, for the residents in the west, before you roll it out across the rest of the authority. Then you'll be delivering a service that's fit for purpose. But currently, with hundreds and hundreds of complaints and bad publicity, the council's a laughing stock, really. You know, donkeys knocking over wheelie bins and eating bins. We don't want that impression for this council. So fix it. Fix it for the residents. Do the right thing. Have the political leadership. Because to be quite honest, I'm afraid you've not displayed political leadership so far. And I look at the portfolio holder. It is your responsibility. This is your watch. And this is your topic. And you perhaps need to consider that against the backdrop of all the problems that this authority is experiencing. But political oversight clearly is missing, or you wouldn't be having these problems, would you? So, get it right, but get it right, please, for our residents. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for the residents in the west and the residents in the east who are going to have it next.
Thank you. Councillor Jack Davis.
Thank you. I'll start by saying that I support the objectives of the new waste collection system. The principles are sound. The ambition to recycle more is right. But I must also say this. The rollout of Phase 1 has had significant problems, and those problems have not been fixed. Consider what our residents have endured. In Marsh Lane, Lymington, food waste left uncollected, not once, not twice, but 3 times. At Corbin Court in Pennington, 35 flats told to cram their weekly waste into 2 few bins because the bin store is too small for the new system. Overflowing bins, a system not fit for purpose. No indoor food caddies at all. Elderly residents forced to chase the bin men down the road before they leave because the bin men haven't been given the code to unlock the new bin store. At Hurstview Caravan Park in Lower Pennington, not a single collection of any waste at all, not in June, not in July, not in August, not a single one. They were left off the list. A gentleman in North Ripley hasn't had his glass collected for 3 months. He was advised to take it to a bring site, but the bring site is overflowing because nobody else has had their glass collected either. These are not teething troubles. These are not minor inconveniences. These are basic failures. And yet, what do we find? The council's own report admits performance is below expected levels. And then they place the blame on the residents. for not putting their bins in the right places. I say this is unacceptable. Our residents are not to blame. They are doing their part. They are following the advice the council has given them. It is the system that has failed them. And I ask you plainly, if this scheme cannot be made to work effectively for a few thousand homes, how can anyone believe it will succeed for tens of thousands more? You are deciding to press ahead regardless. If you extend a failing system to tens of thousands more, then every missed bin, every overflowing site, every broken promise will rest on your heads.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward.
Thank you, Chair. I haven't adopted the positions and voted tonight on a political basis. I'm purely thinking about the residents of Ringwood North and Ellingham. They're in phase 2. This is coming for them. Some it's already impacted. Narrow access. People have reporting collection failures for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've had some impact on Ringwood itself, where on the bag collections in Ringwood itself. So the residents have seen some of this already, but I'll be honest, hearing some of the reports from councillors who are in phase 1, and I've heard some more as well, of the hundreds of emails. Meltdown was a word. I think having to do casework from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night was another word. I do fear, not for me, but that as a measure of the impact on the residents of my ward. So there's definitely a fear there for me. So I echo all the points to say that this has got to be got right. I thank the Liberal Democrat group for bringing this to, for calling this meeting and bringing this. We heard from Councillor Blunden earlier that we all have to take responsibility for this. And yes, when you're a ward councillor, whichever party or no party, getting hundreds and hundreds of emails in your and trying to sort that casework out, you are being made responsible for this. So it's got to be got right. What I would like to see, this report has many things that look good in it. What I would like to see is more focus on the customer service aspect of it, because in phase 1, ward councillors, of course we're involved with residents, we are a face of the council, but ward councillors became the customer service representative for that ward because of the delays. That's through no failing on the customer service staff's part. That's just from the delays. It's a lack of resources. So I would like to see more in this on how ward councillors will be supported in phase 2 and in phase 3, so that if we have the same sort of challenges and the same sort of meltdown on ward councillors, they can step in and give the good customer service to ward residents that our residents deserve. So please bring that out. Please, Cabinet, in your discussions and consideration in this, please bring that out and show how the customer service of this council, including all the ward councillors, can be held at a high level for if these kind of things happen in future phases. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As my colleagues know here, that I work in shipping and I risk assess on a day-to-day basis ships and their problems, and if they have accidents and what that risk has caused. And so I look particularly, given we are discussing the members' reports at the moment, the officers' reports at the moment, I looked at the risk register particularly. And so the council's own risk assessments, I think, make the case for a pause more clearly than any speech I could give. The risks are there in black and white. First, the operational risk. Officers admit phase 1 has not been stabilised. Missed collections remain higher than expected. Container deliveries were late or wrong, and narrow access rounds are still not working properly. And to expand before these failures are resolved is to multiply them across tens of thousands more homes. For goodness sake, 140,000 people live here. Let's do right by them. It's not a risk management, that's risk escalation. Secondly, financial risk. The risk log itself warns of insufficient budgets, unexpected tipping charges, and reliance on agency staff and hire vehicles because you're in a battle with other authorities for staff. Officers say that the cost of delay, 1.2 million, all to 1.26 million, but also admit much of that figure is assumption, not fixed liability. Fixed liability is a much different thing and we can measure it. What we have not been shown is the cost of failure if rollout continues, the cost of lost trust, higher complaints and reputational repair. Thirdly, reputational risk. I mentioned it earlier. Risk log item number 60 makes it plain the damage from overflowing bins, animal interference and negative media coverage is already real and now priced in. If donkeys or pigs are harmed during pannage season because of unsecured food waste, the reputation of this council will suffer lasting damage. A few months ago, I remember Councillor Tipp brought forward a motion calling for things like goldfish not to be delivered from events in the New Forest. And here we are about to damage perhaps pigs. Hypocrisy on stilts. Fourth, governance risk. Key trials like Brockenhurst and East Baldra are still underway. No updated risk assessment has been published for Phase 2, and we're being asked to endorse expansion without evidence that the lessons of Phase 1 have been applied. Chairman, our own documents show this project is not fit for purpose. A short pause is not an admission of defeat. It is an act of prudence. We need to look at it at a different mindset. It allows us to fix the weaknesses, embed the lessons and deliver, certainly for my residents of Hythe, which they're not looking forward to, a service residents can trust. Let's be guided by the risk we ourselves have acknowledged in the documents that we're discussing. Let's pause before we repeat the mistakes of Phase 1 on an even larger scale.
Thank you. Councillor Woods.
I'll keep this short because I think the message is loud and clear, but I did promise today I had an email from a resident who formerly lived in our ward and moved down to New Milton. He moved from a 4-bedroomed house because he was elderly into a flat in New Milton. And he's given me a long email today detailing the multiple problems, not only him, but other members of the block of flats are having with the new recycling service. Problems with accessing the bins, problems with opening the bins, and some residents not even being able to do it. Therefore, what's needed is a pause, a clear plan, with measurable KPIs, properly communicated to residents and councillors alike. Our residents don't want grand promises, they want a service that works. So let's pause, put things right, and then move forward with competence and confidence. That is how we build trust with our residents and respect for this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, do you wish to speak now on your...
Well, Councillor Clark's got his hand up, Chairman.
Oh, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. I've heard the rhetoric from the other side, the repetition, repetition and repetition.
Alex is on the Karen.
And they're still repeating. But let me paint you a picture of what Phase 1 has been like for 98% of the residents. 98% of the residents. 98% of collections have been maintained and carried out well. Now, I don't forget there are many residents who have had miscollections. They have had problems, and you've heard that we will be responding to those problems and that there is a plan in place. And there is a plan in place. It's very clear that that plan's in place. But now let me paint you a picture of a Monday in New Milton when some of the collections are going ahead. We no longer get flocks upon flocks of seagulls. They have virtually disappeared across New Milton. Residents are remarking on that, about the lack of rubbish. Our volunteer litter pickers are now picking up just merely 1/10 of the litter that was previously being found in the town. Now, I call that fairly successful. I've personally spoken to the collectors on my round. I go out and say hello, how are you? because actually the information you get best is from the people on the ground doing it. I wonder how many of the opposition have actually spoken to their actual collectors. I've done that. Yeah, so our collectors, their morale is high. They find the new job, way of doing the job, yeah, it's had its challenges, but they find it easier. It takes longer because it's a different way of actually collecting the rubbish. But they have good morale. They have good communication skills. Local residents talk to them and are pleased with what they do. So I want to congratulate our staff out on the ground, and I've spoken to them, and they are a great group of people. So we have a cleaner town, we have less destruction of bags. The Wiggly bins are successful. They are, in 98% of all cases, they are collected. Yes, there are problems. I don't dispute that. And those problems should and must be fixed. But we do not need to delay when we are learning lessons, and those lessons that we've learned are being put into practice. We need to just carry on, keep improving, and look at the benefits of what we've done.
Thank you. Councillor Heron.
Chairman, point of order, actually, for accuracy. 900 emails waiting to be answered, hour-long pauses for going, so do not indicate 98% success.
Sorry, what's the point of order?
It isn't a point of order. No, it's Councillor Heron first. Councillor Heron.
Thank you very much, Chairman. First of all, apologies to our residents that the rollout has not gone as smoothly as we would hope. No one can get away from that fact. Secondly, my grateful thanks to all our staff who have worked incredibly hard on delivering this complex rollout. And it is, I think, far more complex than most people who aren't within the council know. It is not simply a matter of putting a couple of plastic tubs out and hoping for the best. Our entire system has had to be reviewed and changed. And it has found that quite often we have relied upon local knowledge of hard-working local binmen, and we have to move away from that. So those are the facts that come behind us. What is also a fact is that as we have worked through these program, we have progressively improved the service and addressed the issues that we are finding. One of them, in fact, the only one mentioned was by Councillor Hayward, was the more customer focus. And I will tell him that actually on the last snapshot I got on our call waiting times, we got them down to 13 minutes. We have noticed the problems and addressed them, because that's what we do. As far as delaying these proceedings are concerned, I would have a far greater belief in it if any single one of those calling for it had any helpful suggestions. But actually a delay for delay's sake is completely pointless and actually will slow down the progress that we are making. It will be a retrograde step for our residents, not a step forward. If you'd like to speak, please put your hand up. Oh no, you've spoken, thank you. So please don't interrupt me. That's very kind of you. We have a programme, we are delivering on that service. It isn't difficult. It is probably, in the 25 years that I have sat on this council, the biggest, most complex project that we have ever introduced. And I'm sure that if I roll out a bin collection in another district council in years to come, I will be much better at it. I will accept the failings, but the way is to push on forward, to continue the improvements that we are constantly striving and making to deliver this, rather than to wait for a pause that will deliver nothing except a risk of cost and a failure to deliver on our targets. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you. As a ward member who's in phase 3, ideally I shouldn't have too much impact within within my ward, it should happen as we get into next year, as we hit in the final phase. However, I've never had as many emails and issues from residents all over Hythe and Dibden with regards to bring sites overflowing for all through the summer. We've had black bags not delivered for weeks and weeks and weeks, bin bags missed, some areas with bin bags collected, some others, glass and grass missed. Some people genuinely were having a debate, thinking that we've gone to fortnightly collections in our neck of the woods already. They're not getting their weekly bin bags. They're being picked up the day after, and as you well as know, one of the reasons we want to get rid of bin bags is for those animals coming in and collecting them. But if our residents are not being told to bring them in, or we've had a delay, then they're being kept out there at risk of being ripped apart, one of the reasons we want to stop. I don't know why residents are not being given a daily or weekly updates on the service, whether we're texting, emailing, using the website, we're doing a phone message to just say, my apologies, your service won't be available today, we're going to delay it to the next day. Because if you tell them at 8 in the morning, they understand it. We get it, it's not going to be perfect. I don't expect it to be fair, there's going to be problems. But it's how you respond and react and don't go with a PR gumph and everything's all beds of roses. Give councillors information. As Councillor Hayward said, if you engaged ward members and said, by the way, their bin bags not being collected in areas A, B and C, we can go out on the various social media groups, let them know and stop the miscommunication and the confusion, and people can bring in these bin bags in our neck of the woods earlier in the day and not leave them all night, or bring them in and then miss the collection when we come back the following morning at 6 o'clock. The late notice of the changes of schedules, the promises made not delivered, residents told bins collected when not, and conflicting calendars issued. It's this confusion that is really shaking the public confidence, as been previously mentioned. And if we worked with ward members, with communities, and got the information out earlier, missing a collection isn't the problem. It's how you respond and just share that information, so we don't have to always bring it to a meeting. Why are ward members not included in the steering groups, for example? So those actually, you said you wanted some suggestions, there you go. There's some comms, there's some information, and how ward members can all play a part in improving the service, because phase 3 shouldn't be as impacted. One woman said to me, my bin bags were missed for the first time in 26 years yesterday, and we shouldn't be impacted too early. Please sort it out for our friends in phase 1. Because, to be honest, if our council was making it into the Daily Mail, that's not something to be proud of.
Thank you. Councillor Tunga.
Thank you, Chairman. To listen to those opposite, you'd think it was total, utter mayhem throughout the forest. I've not heard from a single resident in my ward complaining about anything, so it's clearly working in New Milton. Like Steve Clark said, I welcome the fact that my road is clean every Wednesday now. There's not flocks of seagulls cawing and pulling things apart. It works well for us. We missed one glass collection when they had to pull the guys off to do some other stuff. It's not a problem for me. I have a single layer every couple of months, if that, so, you know.
Thank you. Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. So these hundreds of emails, which councillors and staff, I imagine, have been coming into their inboxes. If we take that as meaning that there are another 26 people who feel the same, that's over 20,000 residents. That's not 98% is working okay. I've had emails.
Order, please. Please, order.
I have had emails, and I'm not even in the area that for phase 1. So what does that say? Well, if I might continue, it is not the point that there aren't seagulls attacking the rubbish anymore. There are donkeys attacking it instead. So what difference has that made? We're not debating whether wheelie bins are a good idea. We're debating whether we have a decent service that these people are paying their community charge for. And we do not. It's about time you shameful people over there started to admit that this has not worked and do something about it for our residents.
I'm sorry, can we just carry on the debate with non-confrontational? We're trying to do this for our public, if we could, please. Mr. England.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, just to give you a quick synopsis, there's 100 people living in the Red Road development. They haven't had a collection of waste. There are 4 separate units off the High Street. They haven't had their waste collected. I've got Boulder, as I'm a Boulder Parish Council. Boulder Parish Council and East End and East Boulder are all suffering as well. So I'll bring you that too. And they are the ones with the donkeys. The seagulls do get attracted to the waste, basically because some people use very bad hygiene standards when they're disposing of their waste. And that is one thing. But I live on the quay, and we have black bags, and I can tell you, our waste is not strewn all over the place. The only thing that we might get is a rat visiting, and that's usually on 4 legs, not 2. And the other thing is several people who have been disabled have been given the wrong bins. They can't get in, put their rubbish in them because they're in a wheelchair. This has not been approached. I had to get 25 houses rezoned prior to this starting. And this was supposedly done by Keep Britain Tidy, who was supposedly went round and saw if things were suitable to have bins or no bins. Even myself, I was supposed to have 4. I have nowhere. So I phoned up and I said, what am I supposed to do? Rack them on the outside of my building? The 2 people next door to me, they said, oh, well, we thought they were commercial. Well, surely, to goodness, they know that they're not because they're collating the community charge. It's very easy to do a cross-reference to know what the building does. Staff have been exemplary, and one of the gentlemen has gone above and beyond because he is trying to race around redirecting people who don't know where they're going, even with the sat-nav. So there's some fundamental communications going wrong here. Staff morale is abysmal. And I can tell you because I've been buying them biscuits. Okay, I'll declare that interest. So I would like these issues resolved. I have actually only just received, personally myself, and I've been sending emails, not to everybody on Sunday, but to get an actual response. Today, strangely enough, I got my first 2 responses from someone. Somebody else had their property damaged by an NFDC vehicle trying to get their rubbish. It pulled a tree down and it took their fence down. They drove off and said that they weren't even there when they were challenged. Well, luckily enough, somebody had the footage, and the person, an officer, came back to them today, and they complained about that on the 1st of August. So there's lots of things out there, not just one thing. I want it to be right. I don't want to do point scoring. I want to educate the people how to put their bins out correctly, how we get the world going forward, and how we recycle. But it needs communication and consultation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Colin McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You stated a while ago about being repetitive, but I have to state that's a bit of a joke as far as I'm concerned, because being repetitive is not... I'm here standing up for the people of Leamington and Pennington, and the people of Leamington and Pennington have a right to have their say. It's not being repetitive. I hear it every day, so it's not being repetitive, first of all. I'd like to thank Councillor Heron, first of all, for you acknowledging your failures and apologising to the people of our area, which I'm very grateful for. But looking like, as I said, I represent the people of Leamington and Pennington, that's why I'm here. I mean, like Pennington, you know, there's been so many places missed out, like Pennington, what was it, Pennington?
Pennington Manor.
Yeah, Pennington Manor, for example. They've been missed out. And it's been in phase now one for quite some time, and they've been missed out. I live in a block of flats. We've got one bin between 27 of us, one waste bin for food between 27 of us. I mean, how can you call that justification? There's 27 of us there. Some of those people don't speak English, which is a problem. So again, it's going back to the ethnic group of like who doesn't understand, because they're from a different minority. I mean, I'm here, as I said, representing those people. I mean, I've actually went out myself to 3 different houses and collected their bins. I collected 3 of their bins, the rubbish bins, and I took them to my workplace because the amount of infestation that they had in those communal areas was a disgrace for the children. So all I'm asking here on behalf of the residents in phase 1, please wait and get it right. We need to get this right as a council because we need to justify what we're doing. We need to get it right. There's no point in rolling it out in phase 2 and 3. You talk about continuing the phase. You continue this phase, you're going to have a lot more problems than what you have now, I can assure you that. A lot more problems. And the people of Leamington and Penton, if you go and ask them, they will state that fact. The councillors that are in phase 2 and phase 3, I wish you all the best of luck. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dowd.
Thank you. I'd like to address a comment that was made a little bit earlier about why aren't you giving us solutions to these problems rather than complaining. I was part of the initial task and finish group that met from 2019, and I can assure you that most of the issues that have come up tonight were discussed by ward member councillors across the piece. Conservative councillors, independent councillors and Liberal Democrat councillors. Issues with livestock in the forest, issues with poor access in certain parts and so on and so forth. Solutions to those, very easy. We are one of the last councils to move to this kind of delivery. We have got exemplar councils to look for best practice. And we discussed all of those way back in 2019, 2020 and so on and so forth. So to say that we have not been helpful, I think you are doing not only your own colleagues, but all the councillors who took part in the 2 different task and finish groups a disservice for that. And I think that's really very poor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Glass.
Thank you. A lot of the things that have been said I agree with. Yes, we do need to get something done. No one's made a suggestion yet what to do. But what we have got, by referring this back to the next Cabinet and the Council to approve the decision, is we've got time to think about it, all of us to make our input, to listen to what the public are saying, and to work for the public through the proper channels of the Council to get it done. So I think it would be best now if we got on and voted on the subject in front of us and not keep on saying that something must be done. We all know that. Thank you.
Councillor Davis, would you like to respond now?
Yeah, will do. Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I will do. Well, thanks to all those that have attended this evening, especially the members of the public. It's very reassuring to know that we are listened to on occasion. I know we're certainly watched sometimes, but we've had a pretty healthy debate this evening. Lot of scrutiny of the report and the process and the waste programme in general. There's lots to take away and a lot to consider, but we are putting in place a large amount of change. We're introducing changes all the time, continuous improvement, and surely that can be seen by everyone. Members may recall that I had the waste collection portfolio for a couple of years until 2023. My biggest challenges then were from members of the public, in person and on social media, plenty of that, although in those days it was about moving away from sacks to bins. But it had a significant impact. One of my takeaways from tonight, though, this evening, is the need for more robust scrutiny, a better use of our overview and scrutiny panels. I mean, that was touched on earlier. But basically, this evening's debate has been a very good example of scrutiny. But I question whether many of the points raised this evening could and should have been tested earlier in the programme and noted and actioned upon. There's something for me to take away and discuss further with my colleagues. This report highlighted that lessons are being learned and changes to processes are being put in place. All the substantive issues have or are being addressed. I look in particular at our residents from Brockenhurst. I'm convinced that the improvements will make a difference, and I really support the idea of Jeff's move to move this forward. I can only offer to add my own sincere apologies to all those customers that have been let down. We must accept that it hasn't always been good enough at all. Like Steve Clark, I'm very lucky. I live in New Milton, and my ward is central New Milton, and quite frankly, the service has been exemplary. We are very lucky. Particularly on bin days, it's very quiet. I can have a lay-in. There are no seagulls around. They've all gone to the water side, I think. I am confident that the planned enhancements, Chairman, will resolve many issues. But finally, before I wind up, basically, Chairman, we must recognise the effort and diligence of all our officers at all levels. Steve Clark mentioned the bin men. Yeah, I talked to them as well, particularly the food waste collection. It was a great chat. And certainly, let's not forget, of all people, the customer services people that have certainly had, they've been worked pretty hard recently, but they've all maintained their good humour and support and kindness. I haven't bothered them too much because I haven't had many complaints, quite frankly. In fact, I've only had one, and that was from missed collection, from someone who was getting assisted collection. So that's the real dilemma I face, because in New Milton, the streets are cleaner, the bin days are quieter, and quite frankly, the service is really good. It's got faster and faster and faster. I'm sorry, am I interrupting? The service is getting faster and faster and bedded down well, so just give it a chance.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I must say I was disappointed tonight. It took us actually till 10 to 8 to actually start to debate the actual paper before us. Time before was all covered with points of order, and I'm sure that our public here were totally bored of that. I've listened to the feedback that has been made this evening, and will reflect and take on board the comments that have been made. As I said in the opening remarks, we apologise for the things that have gone wrong, and we recognise that there are issues, but those issues are being fully addressed. You talk about the complaints, but you must also take on board the other side of the coin. There are other areas where our system has been working perfectly well. Perfectly well. New Milton, for example. Also, we've got a number of our residents from Brockenhurst here tonight, and I'm sorry for the disruption that has been caused to some of them. But I took the opportunity to actually talk to a parish council in Brockenhurst. In the majority of the residents in Brockenhurst are receiving a good service, and there is no problem. That is the feedback I have from one of the parish councillors there.
Then you actually talk to the councillor that represents
Brockenhurst. Sorry. Forgive me, we don't accept that.
Okay, and I've talked to other people in other parishes. All right, everybody dwells on the bad news. All right, and that is understandable, and we have to take on board those issues, and we are taking on board those issues. I'm completely focused on solutions, and I know that is the priority of the team here at the District Council. Pausing it won't do anything. It just delays things. What I'm focusing on is to recognise those problems and really find firm solutions for those and move on. The facts are, miscollections are just 4.4% of the total collections across the district. You can cough, you can do all you like, but that is factual. The majority of collections and our scheme is working quite well. But that doesn't get away from the areas which are not working correctly. Food waste has been a remarkable success. Okay, it's been more of an success than was predicted. And you can only go on feedback you had from others, the likely take-up. But we've collected nearly 60 odd tonnes of food waste last week. So I just like to say that I am confident
that the steps being taken by this council, as set out in the report, show that there is a clear action plan. It does show effective governance and the adapting of flexibility on the approach to deliver the waste and recycling service. But we will take on board all the comments that have been made. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We'll now go to the monitoring officer on the vote to explain what's happening.
We've reached past that point.
Yeah. Monitor. You.
Thank you, Chairman. So just to explain and remind members that it was a neutral recommendation put in front of Council to consider the contents of the report to inform its debate, which you have just done. It was moved and seconded, though, so we will present that as a vote to Council. The contents of your debate will be forwarded to the Cabinet for its consideration, but it was a move by Councillor Blunden to consider the report, seconded by Councillor Steve Davis, so there is a vote to be taken on that move, and that will be with you shortly. Chairman, that result is with you now.
The vote is 33 for, 5 against, 4 abstain. Thank you. We'll now carry on to agenda item 3 after all that debate. Thank you. Notice of motion. Members, in accordance with standing orders, this motion shall be referred to the Cabinet for consideration and report to the next Council meeting as it affects the Council's approved budgets. Councillor Malcolm Wade, I invite you to move your motion.
Chairman, as it's very late, I will not read it all out again, but my motion I propose is as per the table. And I would like to pay tribute to our officers and staff who have worked really hard under a challenging circumstance, but not had the right political leadership.
Thank you. Councillor Miller, I understand you will second this motion.
Thank you, Chair. Yes.
Thank you. I would like to clarify that as this motion has an impact on the approved budget, an agenda item will be added to the Cabinet agenda for the meeting on the 3rd of September. This will be brought back to the next Council meeting on the 15th of September. A supplemental agenda will be published tomorrow with an updated report for the Cabinet to consider on the 3rd of September. Agenda item 4. Any other items which the Chairman decides are urgent? Thank you. There are none. Can I take the opportunity to thank you all for working through this evening's important business? Thank you for everyone's participation. Before we close, I'd like to once again thank the members of the public who attended and shared their views with us this evening, and for those observing. The contributions are greatly appreciated and have helped inform the Council's debate. I now declare this meeting closed.